G'day guys, I've had overwhelming requests for under bonnet classes. Actually, it's just one person, 14,000 and something kilometres away from where I am. So a special friend has said, I wish there was an under bonnet class for women. What I have found in Sydney is that women actually know a lot more than men in most cases. Regarding vehicle maintenance, over the last 10 years, it's been more women that have brought cars to me over the men and have a better understanding. But for this person, I'll do a quick, and for all of you, a quick thing about cars. So what's happened is this person's in a cold climate. She's saying the power steering's very heavy on the Ford iMax, which is a Mazda MPV. Now, I don't think it'd be a V6 in that region. But if it is a V6 or you've got a very nose-heavy engine, you're going to have a lot more weight on the front of the car. Now, this person's complaining of heavy power steering. So the first thing you want to do is make sure your tyre pressures are fine. I use well over 40 psi in this vehicle, but between 34 and 40 psi, generally because people don't check their tyres, I do put them quite high. Now, there is sort of a bit of a myth. In some cases, you can look at tyres and tell when they're low. So some cars bulge out a lot more, but generally speaking, it's very hard to look at a tyre and know whether the pressure's right unless the tyre's like bulging out. Especially when you have low profile tyres like this, you're not going to be able to tell. So what you do, this isn't really for my subscribers, I think you guys know this, but what you do, you open the bonnet. Okay, and overseas, obviously, it's over there. You might have to prop something up here. You don't want to, miss where it goes, and you want to locate it back carefully. You also don't want to drop anything into the engine bay. Now, on certain models, like Subaru's always done it, anything we need to check is yellow. Okay, so this particular person's asking for the steering's heavy, and I'm trying to communicate on Facebook tyre pressures, power steering oil, slipping belts, etc., etc. Now, most cars these days are electric steering, which is a sealed unit, but let's go back to basics here, and this is basically a traditional car, despite all the power and all that. So this is the power steering reservoir over here. It's not something that ever really moves. You can see the level there. Now, it says here ATF Dextron here. So power steering normally is in the traditionally ATF Dextron, which is transmission oil. But in many, many German cars, almost all of them, it's fully synthetic, sort of a unique oil. Now, as you can see, there's not much oil in the system. So once the car's older, you also get a stain. So on many Toyotas, the steering will be empty or leaking, but you'll still see this. Now, the best thing to do is to just move the car about. Now, I can't move this car about because it's like a racing car, but most cars you'll be able to. Even there, have a look. See, I'm getting the level to move. You've checked your power steering oil. There's a hot and a cold mark. You can see that this can go all the way up, but as long as it's in there, you wouldn't worry about it. Brake fluid. You do not want to mix these two. You don't open it, just look. Okay, once again, you can do that. Coolant, once again, you can see, wow, where's my coolant gone? Goodness me. Okay, my coolant's down to minimum. You do not open this when it's hot. On Japanese cars, on German cars, you can, but there's no need, once again, if you can see the level by moving the vehicle. Washer fluid, engine oil. So you pull this out, wipe it, dip it twice, the car has to be off, and you wipe that stick, and it should be between maximum and minimum. There'll be M or a F or a 2 dots, and you don't put in 4 litres, you just put in half a litre at a time till the level rises up. And you don't want to be dropping stuff in the engine bay. That's the main thing. This is washer fluid, so just water and a drop of proper soap without salt in it or whatever. Now, back to the power steering. If in the morning you're in a region with 2-degree weather, you're going to have a lot more effort in the morning, as if you think about it, the tyre pressures are lower because the air's colder, and the car's cold, so you're going to have an increased effort. The number one thing with heavy power steering is going to be low tire pressures. Now, another thing is a slipping belt. So over here we have a power steering pump. Okay, you can see the fluid goes from the pump there, and then it comes out at high pressure down into the steering system. If your belt's going to squeal like in the morning, you're going to have heavier steering. Okay, now newer cars with electric steering don't have that to save fuel. Now, that's basically that. You might be wondering what this is here. This is quite a unique car. There are very few cars like this where there's actually two areas to put coolant in. This is just for technical reasons I'm not going to go into, but you don't want to be mixing things up. So don't ever open the radiator in the Japanese cars. Just look at the overflow. Now, there can be an event that this can leak and that can be full, but you don't ever want to open this when the car is hot, ever, right? And you don't ever want to put power steering fluid into brake fluid. If you're going to have any doubts, take it to your mechanic. So that's a bit of an under bonnet course. You can also check your lights. You can also keep your wipers clean. If they're not disintegrated, you just give them a nice wipe, and prolong the life of the wipers. And you can look at tyres externally for damage and stuff like that. But that's for you, specifically for my friend overseas, and for all of you, I'll call it underbody course, under bonnet course for ladies and gentlemen, because this person sort of is implying that women, it's harder for women. But I find in Sydney with my customers, the women, it's the men that are clueless, especially the builders and all. They just seem to have no idea. So this is not specifically related to women. People sort of are overwhelmed by cars, and yeah, it's quite overwhelming. I really enjoy it when people go, how do you do it? How do you know what everything is? But if you look at everything separately, okay, and especially when things are marked in a color-coded fashion, it's much, much easier. Now, you also can look at your battery. Don't open it and check it. Okay, if you don't know what you're doing, there's no reason. I mean, you can, but already this is really tight. It's sulfuric acid. Really, here the level can be seen, and most batteries are maintenance free these days anyway. But what you can do is see that these are tight. Okay, now the car must be off, because many times this will be loose. If the engine's running and you pop that off, you're in deep trouble. So, beware. You don't want to be dropping anything in here, as I said, and don't mix up any of the fluids. If you are in doubt, go to a mechanic. Power steering fluid does not move unless there's a leak. Full stop. It might be a really slow leak, but it goes nowhere. There's not one vehicle that has a prescribed power steering change. I know a lot of mechanics, especially some bad ones, have charged hundreds of dollars to change 3/4 of a cup of power steering oil. It is not necessary. It does get darker over time, and as I said, it might stain the reservoir, but otherwise that's basically what everyone should know, and it's all in your owner's manual. So just remember, it's all in your owner's manual. If you can't find your owner's manual, then download it off the internet. So this video was made for someone with a Ford IMAX, but otherwise every car's the same, guys. It's all basically the same. So then you will get your catch if you have it. Carefully put it back, holding this with the other hand. Have a look that there's nothing left in here. You don't want to leave rags and stuff in here. It'll cause you huge amounts of drama. And then the best thing to do is just shut the bonnet like that. Otherwise, push down here. It's all in the user manual, guys. So that's that. I'm going to go up and have breakfast now, and good day to you all. Hope that helps. It'll be interesting to see how many people actually watch this, but I guess it's something that can save you a lot of grief, and it's, for safety reasons, very important that we all know that is the minimum. That's the minimum you should know. There's nothing I've said here that is out of the ordinary or specialist in any way. As I said, it's all in the user manuals of the cars. Okay, bye.